Hello, everyone, and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, episode 72. Can't believe we made it to the big ol' 7-2. Can you believe it, Eric?
If you times 7 by 2, you get 14.
Oh my god, 14 theory. It's everywhere. You don't know what that means.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
we're talking about... we're talking about Japan. The
We're
final episode,
still on
probably.
the Japan train. Woo! Choo choo.
Number one Japan train hater over here. Now, one day,
Nah.
we took the Japan train to the Osaka Expo Island. I don't know what
World
it's called.
Expo.
So the island is called the island or something, and hosting
Oh,
it,
sure.
it is currently hosting the 2025 World Expo.
Yes, I believe it ends in September, I want to say.
Yeah, it's
And I
this.
think it started in late March, April.
Yes, it's this year from the spring to the fall. It's held every 5 years, I believe, 4 or 5 years. And it was not held last time because of COVID. So this is the first time in
Yes.
about 10 years that we've had one, and it was just decided that it would be Osaka. So, and I believe we told this
And
story, but we did the whole vacation. We get to our last stop. We're in Osaka, and we just start seeing these like posters everywhere, like, "Hey, World Expo, Osaka, make a left here." And we're like, "What is that?"
mm-hmm.
And then we keep seeing
Well,
the little mascot man
Myaku
everywhere,
Myaku.
Myaku Man.
His name is spelled Myaku space Myaku.
Mimikyu,
Same
yeah.
spelling.
So we decide that on one
Myaku
of our
Myaku.
last days we want to go and check it out because we have nothing scheduled that day. We're like,
Yeah.
we can't happen to be in Osaka during the world. Like, people are coming to Japan to just go to this, and we're in town.
Mm-hmm.
We have to. Not, it would be stupid
Yeah.
not to.
Yep.
So we go.
We do. And it was a lot of people were there. We had to wait in line. There was a huge line. And it was I actually didn't really know about the World Expo before this, and I feel like maybe we should explain it just in case. And honestly, I still kind of don't know what it is. It's like a cultural exchange of the different countries like showing off their country. So there's a like a building of Korea, and they came up with themes and how they wanted to present themselves to the rest of the world on what their either like their relationship with Japan or what they're thinking about for the future, whatever it is. And every country gets to determine how it is. They kind of show off for each other and like, hey, you should come here because of these reasons,
Yes.
either for travel or living or plans, policies, whatever.
Yeah, so when most people hear World Fair, they're typically going to think about the one in Chicago or in the early 1900s, which is where the Ferris wheel was invented. Disney showed off like animatronics and stuff like that. And the World's Fair in Chicago is what went on to inspire Disney World, because Walt Disney was like, "What if this, but year
That
round?
train.
What if we just always had like displays of technology and a cool park to go through with like booths of interesting technology?" And so we came up with Disney World and Epcot specifically, like that whole park
Hmm.
is supposed to be like, this is the world of the future. This is where we're going to show off technologies, and we're going to get different like companies to invest. So like this will be the GE booth, and this will be the whatever booth. And so Epcot is supposed to be the permanent World Fair, and then that just kind of didn't happen because post Walt, people didn't like the people running Disney didn't really care about like futurism. But the Chicago World Fair was very, very influential for American culture, and so I guess it's held in different cities and countries every couple years, and I guess it's the World Expo, not the World Fair. Don't know why the name change or if it's even associated, but it's the same concept. And so I guess because Ferris wheels aren't the biggest draw to crowds anymore, it was more focused on like culture and history and technology. So like Germany's was like, we recycle, and that was like the whole thing. And Korea's was like, listen to some AI music, and that was the whole thing. And then India was like, look at some of our artwork, and look, we got a big rock. It's like a big crystal rock. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Eric's going to say, that's not
So
all that Germany was. Germany wasn't just all recycling. Yes, it was. It was also
no, it
AI. Everything
wasn't.
was AI. Every single booth had AI. I say booth, but I
They
mean
were
like
not
hall.
all
They
AI.
were all AI. Germany had this
So
whole wall.
I
It's just like,
I
look at
took note.
look at our entire booth about recycling. Come to this wall and input words that make you think about recycling, and will AI generate you an image about what a future city might look like. And I'm like, wow, that's so funny, because a lot of people think AI is bad for the environment. It's not, but it's still funny to think about, because it seems like those two things don't go together. Haha.
Research needed. Anyway, so we went to, well, I went to, you would eventually abandon me. We went to Korea, which was about tech and like the future and the past and like using AI to help bridge the gap between the past and future. A lot of mostly just like videos and lights and stuff.
There was a room
Um,
where you blow into a tube and water comes out, and they're like, if you
this
put
is
these
true.
giant batteries inside of concrete, it can turn carbon dioxide into water. And that was the
Yep.
room. Yeah, it was cool.
Yep. That was cool.
And the
We
light show.
went to we went to Spain, which was about the sea and renewable energy and their relationship with Japan. Supposedly, the story goes that like a Spanish naval ship got caught in a storm, broke on like Japan's coast or near it, and these like I completely forget the towns and the people's names, so I'm so sorry. But local Japanese fisherwomen saw this and were like, "Time to save some strangers," and they did. And Spain's king was so grateful that his sailors came back alive. He like sent them a bunch of money, and that's how they developed their friendship as a countries. So the story goes. So that was Spain. We got
Yeah.
Indonesia,
Spain
which
was
was
underwater. Yeah. There's like projectors on the
Spain
wall.
was
It's like, look, we're under the water.
oh yeah, yeah. It was very ocean and aquatic vibes, and I think there was a part that was like if we can use seaweed or the currents for energy or something. I
Yeah,
forget exactly.
I think Eric just made up that whole story about the ship because like it was literally
You
just, hey,
didn't
look, we're
read
underwater.
anything.
It was in Japanese.
You
They're just looking
They
around and it's
were
like,
in
hey,
the
oh my
English
god,
sections.
look, like there's projectors on the wall and big TV screens and it's like underwater fishies and I'm like, wow, underwater fishies. And then I leave and then half an hour later Eric strolls out and he's like, I just invented this story about a boat that no one can verify. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Let's go to the next booth.
Except it's all real, quote unquote. I mean, yeah, maybe they embellished the story, but
I just
you
remember
just didn't
whales.
read
There's just some whales on the wall. Oh, look,
every
whales.
every expo we went into. I was like, let me engage with this on its level and really take my time with it. And Devin went, how do I speed run this as quickly as possible without being rude?
Everyone we went to, Eric was like, "Let me read what the wall says," and I'm like, "I want to see the cool technology and art." So I think I'm the winner because I saw more
But
cool
you
technology and art, and Eric just read a
but
wall.
you didn't
I went to
you
the
didn't
entire.
a
Eric spent so long in
the
Germany.
context.
Eric spent so long reading about recycling in Germany that I waited in line and walked through the entire France booth in the time it took him to read the wall in Germany. Okay, I
Because
saw the
okay,
giant Louis
first of
Vuitton
all,
case orb.
first of all, it was France. I didn't miss anything.
The
No
Louis
offense, France.
Vuitton trunk orb.
Literally means nothing.
Okay.
Second of all, Germany put a ton of effort into it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want to go in order. Indonesia mostly talked about their culture. New capital. Oh, they want to make a new capital that's focused on living with the nature and like finding a more ecological, sustainable ways. And then they had a shadow puppet show, and like I don't know, it's the past and the shadow puppets. I guess it's a big part of their culture.
I didn't go on that one.
Um,
I walked around the outside looking for Pokemon, And I found, if you've ever seen the picture of the giant Gundam statue that's in Japan, that's the same island as this. And so I went to the giant Gundam statue.
I think it was different actually, because supposedly the giant Gundam statue got shut down. So
We were there.
I don't.
I have a picture of you
I
with it.
know, but I think there was another one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, this isn't like. This is the
I knew there
giant
were,
Gundam statue. Like
I
I've seen.
think there's two giant Gundam statues.
Okay, well, as a normal human being, I've only seen pictures of one giant Gundam statue in Japan, and it was this one.
That's. I don't think it is. That's what I'm
What are you
saying.
talking about? It's the same position on the
there
same
was
island.
A second Gundam.
If you're
statue.
so in the weeds of internet weebdom that you're aware of a second Gundam statue, that has nothing to do with the fact that there is one famous Gundam statue, and it is this one.
I.
Sir, a second
We'll
Gundam
move
statue
on. I'm
has
not
hit Japan.
10 minutes on this.
Okay.
We went to a globe exhibit, and it showed off a lacquer globe at night.
I forget what country that was, but they had one of their artists.
I think it
created a globe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, globe.
It was a local Japanese artist, but it wasn't like a Japan's expo. It was just globe. I might be fuzzy, I guess, but in my notes it's just globe. And it just showed off a globe at night, the electricity that we use, the space.
Japan is home to many life-size Gundams. Apparently there's a lot of them and they move, but the one that we went to is the real one that's just permanently there. Thank you, Google.
Was that the AI answer? Because that means nothing.
No, that's Google Images. I'm looking at Google Images. There's a giant one that can walk, but it wasn't a permanent fixture. The one we went to was a permanent fixture of the island.
Okay, well, all right. I'll take my lumps then. We went to Italy, which had the mascot Italia, which was made by, if I'm not mistaken, an Italian weeb who was chosen to create a mascot to showcase the friendship between Italy and Japan, and he made a lovely little mascot named Italia, and she's like got ornaments in her clothing of like both Japanese and Italian culture. It was cool, and they had a person in an Italia suit that you could like meet and greet with, and I met her and greeted with her, and it was fun.
That was the longest line we stayed on. It was probably the second longest line in the expo besides America, which we decided not to go to for obvious reasons. Although it probably was going to be a cool expo, but we're like, we didn't come to Japan to see America.
That's right.
But we were in line for Italy for a long time, and then the mascot came over and Eric said hi.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. The first room was like artsy stuff. There's like a statue.
Yeah.
Like a marble statue, and I wanted to get a picture with it. And I said, okay, Eric, I'm going to stand here, and you're going to take a picture so it looks like I'm cupping his balls. And then
what happened?
You couldn't figure out how to position the camera in 3D space, and so now I'm just kind of like holding my hand out next to a man's testicles.
Because you aren't allowed to take pictures, that's right.
That is just not the case.
You were not allowed to take pictures, which is why I took such bad pictures. Because I was trying to stealth take it.
You were absolutely allowed to take pictures.
Anyway, they had art like ceramics and marble, as you just said.
There's something else about whales. There's a whale thing.
The space industry and a little bit of religion. Which confused you because you were like, oh my gosh, according to the app, there's a Vatican Expo. I can't wait to see it. And it was a room inside the Italian Expo.
Yes. So we went through the whole Italian thing, and then I was looking through, and I saw that Luce, right? She's the Vatican's anime girl. What's her name, Luce?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the Catholic anime thing. And it's like she's
the mascot for biodiversity.
Yeah, she's in the Sicilian booth. And I'm like, where's the Sicilian booth? And I like run around looking for it to determine that it's in the Italy booth and that we had in fact walked through it and that she just wasn't there that day. So we couldn't meet Luce.
Yeah, big bummer.
Very sad.
They also Italy's gift shop specifically was closed, and I could not buy Italia merch.
Very sad.
Very sad.
There was a
And
thing.
then
There was a thing.
there was a
It
thing.
was it was Da Vinci's notebook pages, and they were underneath glass, and so we
Oh
could take a picture of those.
yes,
Very cool. Worth the price of admission, which
yeah.
was free. Worth the 2 hour wait in line.
Um, yeah. Italy's was cool. They had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, because like, when am I ever gonna go to Italy? Like, this is my one chance in the near future to see the culture
Yeah,
of my people. Right, Eric?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, but they were very varied. Um, I forget all of the rooms, but it was like the art with the marble and the statues and stuff. Then it was like the religious paintings, which was the Vatican Expo or Sicilian or whatever. And then it was space industry stuff.
They made a tire that you don't need air for, so it can't pop. Big
Wow,
tire. Yep.
hey, that's pretty cool. Um, I think they made like new like deep diving gear as well. They had a lot of stuff going on. I wish I took better notes.
Better pictures, even.
But,
But that you were totally
well,
allowed to
hey,
take. That you were absolutely allowed to take in the
you were
booth.
not allowed to take except for the paper. So then we went to Germany, which, spoiler alert, was my favorite expo.
Which was
It
probably the
had,
most boring expo.
which was probably the most well themed and focused expo.
Do you guys like
It,
recycling? Are you Edwin
well,
Murray?
no, no, no,
Because
no,
if
no,
you
no.
do, you'll like the recycling in Germany, I guess. Circles.
They, first of all, had a circular, and it's a little knockoff Kirby blob
It
thing
looks like a Luma
that,
from Super Mario Galaxy.
okay, yes, that's more accurate. Um, and it's a voice guide. So you take your Luma, put it up to the wall, and it will load up a speech about whatever subject is on the wall, with like a little like metal circle to transmit the data, and then you hold up the circular to your ear or your skull. If you're like me, you press it against your skull so you can feel the vibrations. And then it's like, I don't know. Mycelium is a good alternative construction resource that we could use because of its resilient nature and its et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so all of Germany's expo, every, I'm going to say 5 to 10 feet, had these magnet circles on the wall. And there was maybe 4 rooms, and each room was a different aspect on like, how can we better recycle? How can we better have cities with like properly managing the integration of nature and like making sure we're living in an habitable, sustainable way, etc.
Recycling.
Very,
Let, let,
very cool.
let me just explain, because like, Eric, you did explain it properly, but I just want to put it in context. If anyone's ever been to a museum before, you usually get a little
Okay.
cassette player thing with headphones, and you put on the headphones, and you might like press a button, and it talks to you about like whatever paintings in the room you're in. It'll be like, this painting was painted in this year by this guy. The thing that Eric is talking about is the least practical application of such technology I have ever heard of, in which they
Oh
give
my
you a
gosh.
plastic toy. You have to press it against like an NFC chip on the wall to like activate it talking to you. And then instead of having headphones, it just talks via a little speaker, and you have to physically hold it up to your ear as you're then walking around and looking at stuff. Literally, the
It's
museum technology that we've had for decades, they're like, what if we made it difficult to use?
Oh, you mean what if they played into the fact that Japan loves chibi little mascot characters, so they invented, designed, and mass produced a chibi little mascot character to engage with you in the expo as you participated, walking around for however much time you spent, being as little as 5 minutes or as much as 2 hours. And because you don't have to skip or whatever on the physical device and you're just like skip, 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 you can just press your circular up to the magnet that you're interested and then listen to it. And because you don't have to deal with headphones, A, you just don't have to deal with that annoyance. But then
Yeah,
B, it's at a
annoyance.
level where everyone can listen to it without being overwhelmed because there's just like an incessant like high volume of nonsense chattering. It's so well designed.
The thing that you just stated is what causes the problem you just said. Each person's individual thing is speaking to them out loud. That causes the indistinct, annoying chatter. Having personal headphones makes it silent unless you're choosing to listen to them.
No,
Personal
because
headphones
it's
is
you
the
hold it
ideal way
up
of doing
against
it.
your ear,
Yeah.
and then
I,
or your skull, so you
if
can get the
only, if
vibrations and hear it
only,
better.
if only there was a speaker that could perhaps attach to my head via some sort of band that goes over my head, and maybe in both ears at the same time, even like headphones. If only headphones
But
existed.
headphones, people would want to adjust the volume. This, you didn't need to adjust the volume, just the closeness of your circular to your ear. It was good. I didn't notice any indistinct chatter.
You're the one who brought it up.
Um, yeah, I'm saying it's headphones would be the cause of that, or just like having like Walkman without just like blaring from a stereo or something.
Anyway, I cannot
Um,
emphasize enough that most of what Eric was doing was staring at just a little wall that had words on it and then listening to the thing talk in his ear, reading to him about, like, this is how factories make air. And then in
great.
the top room was this big rotating circular floor with couches, and you can look up at this big mirror that reflects down on the circular couch. And the walls are these TV screens that show these little Lumas dancing around. And so I got up there slightly before Eric. I'm like, wow, I'm just going to chill here for like 5 minutes and wait for him. Half an hour later, I'm like, Eric, are you, like, did you leave without me? He's like, no, I'm still on the second floor out of 7 floors, reading about recycling. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go do something fun. I went to France,
Which was not fun.
which was very fun.
Uh, I don't care about Louis Vuitton, and that's all you've said there was there. So Germany,
Bunch of dresses.
they talked about nature, and then city life, and then renewable energy slash construction, and then living sustainably. More or less in that order,
Yeah,
as per my
recycling.
notes. It's not just recycling. That's so reductive.
It's
They
all
talk
just
about
recycling.
interesting things.
It's things that they
Building buildings out of
literally,
fungus
things
isn't
that will
recycling.
never, ever, ever happen. That is never going to
With
happen.
that
They've been talking
attitude,
about it for decades. It is literally just propaganda to be like, we're forward thinking. Look at this technology that we have. Every country has it because it's the same technology.
but that's
We're committed to
oh,
being
that's I'm
green. We're
so
committed to
sorry
the
you're
future.
so
We're committed to
pessimistic.
technology. That's what everyone has been saying always. France had a room full of like dresses, and there were like big human-sized dresses and small like doll-sized dresses. And France had a room with sculptures. Everyone has rooms with sculptures. It's fine. But France had the orb. This is a giant orb made of Louis Vuitton trunks that rotated in a big circle. So you could stand there
When
and you
you
could ponder the orb.
when you say trunks, do you mean like pants or do you mean like chests?
The Louis Vuitton like trunk chests.
Okay,
Like, the big building in New York City that's just a giant Louis Vuitton trunk?
I do not.
Okay, well, maybe you should learn less about
I'm
recycling and more
not
about culture.
buying Louis Vuittons. What, get out of here. I'm not going to waste my money on that.
Yeah, you're gonna waste your money on recycling. Oh,
I wouldn't waste money with recycling. It was also the most engaging.
I liked the circular room with the couch.
That was cool. And you could make your own circular, and then it would go up onto the screen and like dance around, and
Yes.
you could have had it say a little message.
Yeah. Or you could walk
You could
around
have
outside
created your own.
with citizens. I did that, but you could also walk around outside with citizens from hundreds of different countries, walking around enjoying the beauty of man's creations and our desire to show off the future of our cultures to one another and share in the beauty of that singular space in the world right now that's designated for all of humankind to come together and wish and dream and work toward a better future as one planet, except for North Korea, which wasn't there. But you were reading about recycling propaganda, so that's cool.
Okay, first of all, I was doing the thing you said. It was just limited to one country. Second of all, there were so many people just waiting in line for America. Don't even. I'm gonna walk around with all these people and they're not gonna engage with me at all. Except for this one group of school students who were in school and were like, we need pictures with Americans for homework. Or foreigners, really. And he approached us and we took photos with him.
Yes, that was
And
very
he was
funny.
like, yeah. And we were like, wow, your English is so good. And I tried speaking a little bit of Japanese with him, and he was like, yeah. And all of his friends just stood there because I don't think they spoke any English. And I was just like, wow, weird. But it was cool.
Very
They had
sweet,
the
yes.
hardest time saying your name.
Oh yeah, like there's like Devin, they're like blah blah blah, and that was it. That's
No,
exactly
it
how
was
I
like,
recall it happening.
what's your name, mister? Oh, I'm Eric. Eric? Yes, you got it. How do I say your name, mister? Devon? Devon?
Devin,
Devon?
Devin.
Devon? You were not considerate at all. Talk about
Making up nonsense.
gathering with the thingies.
Yeah, you show
Um,
me.
yeah, I know how to use words in their proper meaning. We also, a cool thing from the like stadium, I guess, is like it had multiple floors, which you would just take escalators or stairs up and down to. Really, it was just like ground floor, and then like 3 or 4 floors up, they had a ring of like lawn that, and then like a sidewalk, and then it overlooked the view, with a railing. So you could just lay down on the lawn and just look at the stars, or it's too bright for stars, so you just look at the air or the sky, I guess. And they had food courts as well, which I enjoyed. You did not have a good time.
As far as food's concerned,
Yeah,
yeah, no, they had no
I
food.
think.
I had a pretzel.
Yeah. Um, what did I think I had ramen. Um, very, very cool, chill. There was a ton of Pokemon Go stuff. They had like 6 Pokemon
Yes.
statues of like more or less like life-size Lapras with a statue with like a Pikachu riding it or whatever, and then you like go into the Pokemon Go game and you can like, it's a Pokestop, you spin it. I think it gave you like a special
You can take a
thing.
yeah, you take a picture of it, you get like a special thing. Because that's just a permanent fixture of the expo center. Same thing with the giant Gundam. Those are just there no matter what is being housed and shown off. So like that's not like it's a World Expo thing. That's just
Right,
always
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But it was cool to see so many places and their stuffs and what they wanted to show off and what not to show off.
We watched a lady walking, or Eric watched a lady walking, and then she fell down some stairs.
Oh my god. What? Yeah. There was I forget the exact term. There, like a sunken stadium, because it was kind of in the middle of this like plaza, and in like to the one side of it was like a sunken stadium, so it was like, I don't know, 6 steps of stairs and then like a semicircle floor where a band would play or something. And there was a drone light show going on at the time, and she was like trying to take footage of it or something, and then she didn't see the sunken stadium and she slipped and she took a big fall, and thankfully there was some staff people nearby, and they went to her, and the people, they got medical help and stuff, and a small crowd gathered, and I think I saw her like get up a little. So
She died, yeah.
that's good.
I think I saw her get up a
joke?
little. Eric 2025.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly. It was dark. It's been a while, but I there was also a crowd around her. But no, it was wild. And I have learned when I see accidents, my like fight or flight, freeze, or fawn response might be freeze.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was watching the
Thankfully,
drone
they
show
were
at the
okay.
time. Yep, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, you watched the drone show
I
and
did watch the drone show. Now, the thing is, while this was happening, me and Eric were separated because he was in Germany for 2 hours while I was in France, and then I was watching a laser light show on the water and then the drone show. And Eric didn't get to see them because he was in Germany.
what I got to see them,
You were on
and
the
then I
waters with me. You were standing on the water's edge, looking over at the light show about the girl who went missing, and then she had like a friend bird or something. The bird helped her get home. You watch that?
no, I didn't see that, but I still
Suspicious.
saw I still saw drone light shows because it caused someone's accident, which is terrible logic on my part. I should be more considerate. Um, I think it's wild to be like, you're enjoying a thing too much. I don't like it.
Yes.
What else did we do in it? I mean, I would say overall Japan was pretty prepared for it. There was a bunch of like metro staff to help guide people on like, if you're trying to go to the World Expo, this is the train you take. Go this way, not that way. Old people take the elevator. People carrying a lot of things take the elevator, and like grabbing, not actually physically grabbing them, but gesturing for them to move out of part of the line, and like uh take them to a more efficient course for them.
Yeah, whenever we would go on the train to like go into Osaka, there would be like people there gesturing like, no, 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 it's on the right to get to the expo, and we're just like, no, we're just going to the grocery store. We're just going to some arcades.
Them arcades, man, let me tell you. Um and then what else? I mean, that's kind of it. I did lose my Meow Wolf water bottle in the expo.
Meow Wolf, that thing you talked about for like a whole episode a year ago.
Yeah, that's right. Also, geez. But yeah, I had this water bottle. I brought it along with us for the entire trip of Japan because it's the water bottle I would drink out of. And I left Japan and I was looking for Devon and I couldn't find him. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna drink some water. And my water bottle was gone. And I retraced my steps a little bit for 5-10 minutes, and I was like, I can't find it. It's just gone, and I have no idea where it could be.
You left a part of yourself behind, and that's beautiful.
Well, it's probably in the trash by now. I'm sure they didn't just leave a water bottle on the floor. But I am in the trash system of Japan, where I belong. The trash. So, I think that's it for the World Expo.
Yeah, we were there for a whole day, but without being like a blow by blow, like, this is how you recycle. There's not much more to talk about. There was this big, I'm gonna say a field of mist. You could walk through the mist. And Eric's
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
don't want to get wet. I don't like the Jurassic World log flume. And I'm like, yes, it's hot out. I'm gonna go walk through the mist. And then I did, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
Right, and then the last day in Japan, we went to the beach and dipped our
Yeah.
toesies in the water,
Yeah.
and that's it for Japan.
I guess so. I guess if anyone has like questions, comments, they can ask and we can go into more detail.
Yeah, we do have a
Um,
Gmail, slapendipity@gmail.com. I haven't looked at it in 2 months, so I hope that no one's like gone missing. Like, help! I'm trapped
yeah.
in your email. You have to answer.
Oh
You have to answer
no.
my riddle on the podcast, or else I'll be trapped here forever. We just have not looked.
Oh gosh. We should maybe talk to the trolls that live under the bridge then, because I we got that sorted out, but maybe something happened. Um, and yeah, I guess we can start looking at to that, and then Devin, how are your overall thoughts about Japan? Just to as one last conclusive look.
My thought is that it was a lot of work to get there and go there and plan everything, and that I'm very happy with everything that we did. And
Mm-hmm.
it, I kind of was at the end like, I could stay here for another week. I could stay here for a lot more time. And so leaving, I kind of feel like, the phrase is like, leave them wanting more. It's kind of like I have a good memories. There's more stuff I could have done, but I'm ultimately satisfied with what happened. I know that you said something to the effect of like, no, you're done. You're good to go home. I was not. I could have stayed longer. But as far as like traveling goes, I am good for a while. I do have some traveling plans coming up in October, but I was happy with that being my excursion for the year. And I definitely would not want to go traveling anytime again soon. Right, Eric?
So I think it was a pretty good trip as well. It was a lot of fun. There were some ups and downs, but that's what makes the ups all the up year and the downs all the down year. And I think, as you did allude to, I think you just straight up said, I was good to go home when it was ending. I was like, I want my own bed. I want good AC. I want American food. It was very fun to do all those things, but I think a month is about a good amount of time to like travel and be like dunzo. Because, you do too much, you just burn out. And, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I'm going to travel the world and I'm going to do all this stuff. And I didn't do that. And now I don't have a travel stamina. Um, so, whoops. But it was very cool. Um, it was nice connecting with people the way I did and we did, and I do feel like I related to like the cultural mindset of just like be quiet, take up as little space as possible. As a ex-Catholic, I feel like that just really hits home.
What?
Well, that's what my takeaway from Catholicism was when I was a child is like always help others, don't do anything bad, take up as little space as possible, stuff like that.
Sure.
Be quiet. Um,
There's two modes. There's
um,
be quiet or sing, and there's no middle
yes.
ground.
So it was very cool. I do want to go back to Japan someday. I would like to go to Hokkaido and really sink my teeth there. And maybe it would be the same trip, maybe it would be a different trip, but I think just like traveling the entire northern to southern part of the main islands would be cool as well. Um,
Yeah, but let's say that you hypothetically were going to travel somewhere soon. Where would you hypothetically want to go? Potentially,
well, so
hypothetically.
if it's not Japan, right? We've been to Japan. I've got the travel bug for Japan out of the way. The only places, okay, here's my little. It'd be cool to go to Russia or the Middle
I'm
East. I
setting
think they
you
have
up for
interesting
something. You know what I'm
architecture,
setting you up for. Just do it.
but I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime, and that's okay. But if I had to say, I've always wanted to go to Italy. I was there when I was a baby, so I don't remember anything, but I've been. Um, so it'd be really cool to like go back and actually see the things I already saw, quote unquote.
To go to Italy? What?
Yeah.
That's right, folks. Next time on Slapendipity Ball Z, Eric's Adventures in Italy, coming up next week.
I went to France instead, though.
Well, I guess we have to hear about France first.
I was so ready for that to be the finisher. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.